Picture this. You're standing in a line at your favorite coffee shop. The barista hands you over your latte and you tap your card on the terminal. And in a few seconds, you hear that satisfying beep that your card payment has been accepted. But have you ever wondered that what happens in those few seconds when you tap your card and when you hear the beep? Of course, most of us do not care, because who has the time to think about the mysteries of payments when the aroma of fresh coffee is the calling? But let me share this with you, that every time when you tap your card, a fascinating journey unfolds in the background. A journey that involves 4 parties with one mission, that you get your coffee and the merchant gets paid for their coffee. To be honest, before coming into the payments industry, I wouldn't care much as to what happens in the background. But now that I'm in the payments industry and I live and breathe this stuff on a daily basis, I thought, why not break it down into simple words for everybody to understand? So let's have a look. This is how the 4-party model in a card transaction typically works. These are the 4 parties. First is the issuing bank. Second is you. Third is the coffee shop, which is the merchant in this case. And fourth is the acquiring bank, or the bank of the coffee shop. Now, let's see how these 4 parties communicate with each other to complete a card transaction. First of all, the issuing bank has issued a debit or a credit card to you. Now, using this card, let's suppose you would want to buy a cup of coffee from the coffee shop. Remember, the coffee shop doesn't have the means to accept your payment right away. So what it does is that it uses a payment processor or a gateway to which it passes on your card information. The gateway then onwards passes on this information to the acquiring bank to authenticate the card, which means that whether your card is authentic. This is called the authentication request. Now remember, the acquiring bank is the bank of the merchant, so it doesn't know whether your card is authentic or not, valid or not. So what it does is that it tries to reach out to the issuing bank, the bank who issued the card to you. This communication goes through the schemes, being MasterCard, Visa, or others. These schemes then communicate onwards with the issuing bank, asking them to authenticate the card, which means to check whether you have enough balance on the card. As a next step, the issuing bank checks the details on your card, the validity, and whether it's authentic or not. Once everything checks out, the issuing bank responds through the schemes to the acquiring bank, which then communicates with the gateway and eventually to the merchant, confirming that the card is authentic. In payment world, this is called the authorization response, which means that now I authorize you to take money from this card. Now that the cafe is happy, it's gonna pass you your rich, flavorful coffee and would expect payment in return. The payment will move from the issuing bank to the acquiring bank, through the gateway, and finally into the merchant's bank account. This completes what we call the settlement cycle, where the money has moved from your bank account to the acquiring bank and finally into the merchant's account. As I said, the settlement of funds. In a nutshell, 3 things have happened here. First, an authentication request sent to the issuing bank, followed by an authorization response from them, and finally, the settlement of funds to the merchant's bank account. This is how the 4-party model works. Guys, I hope this video was valuable to you and it added something to your knowledge. Basically, what I wanted to show to you guys is that I really got fascinated when I saw that what happens in those couple of seconds, which I completely ignored previously, is something fascinating. It's a seamless coordination between 4 parties to make sure that the payment goes through and I get what I want to buy. In the following videos, I'm going to take you through the unit economics of the 4-party model. What I mean by unit economics is basically that how the fees are calculated and basically what is the cost of all this seamless communication. So watch this space.